So, who in God's name expected this to happen? Like seriously, who in their right mind expected a Puss in Boots sequel to hit this hard? When I saw the trailer for the first time, the first thing that hit my brain was, really? Out of all the things you could do, every single possibility, you bring back the Shrek universe? I get that modern culture has kept the existence of this handsome green devil alive on the internet, but I don't think anyone expected DreamWorks to actually bring any of it back. Apparently, the first Puss in Boots movie came out in 2011, and 2011? Over 11 years ago! Guys, I can feel the wrinkles coming in. Anyway, the first movie came out that long ago, and when it did come out, a sequel was greenlit like shortly after. I guess they were really confident in that first movie. Knowing that now is really interesting considering that the sequel just came out. Turns out the movie was in development hell and was dropped around 2014, but came back around 2018. Back then, the planned sequel was called Puss in Boots, 9 Lives and 40 Thieves. So I guess the idea of Puss only having 9 lives was always the plan, but the 40 Thieves part, that sounds like it would have been either hella badass or would have made the movie feel super crowded. The second thing I realized in the trailer was how unbelievably good this movie looked. If there's anything I will forever compliment the film industry for, is their continuous improvements to every single animated project they make. I say this because live action movies get really inconsistent. I mean, just look at Marvel. The first Iron Man movie, the one that started the MCU, looks like the Mona Lisa of superhero movie visuals. But when you look at Marvel's recent movies, some of them do look good, yeah, but I'm looking at you, Black Widow. You could maybe excuse the Disney Plus shows because yeah, there's gonna be a lot to do there, but Black Widow was a theatrical release and it had this.
Don't do it! It's like mine! No!
This is definitely a Marvel specific problem though, because of the amount of projects they have to complete in such a short amount of time. The VFX team is seriously suffering. If the Batman is Starry Starry Night, then Black Widow was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. However, every studio knows just how important animated movies are. They become international phenomenons and therefore become massive moneymakers. To me, Raya and the Last Dragon was like a 4 out of 10 movie, but I can't deny how absolutely beautiful it looked. Puss in Boots is different though, because while most modern animated movies look good, Puss in Boots The Last Wish feels good. It sounds good, and oh my god, it tastes good. My eyes were in heaven the entire time. It's clear that they took inspiration from Spider-Verse, but initially this had me worried. Everyone knows just how much of an impact Spider-Verse left behind and will continue to leave behind, but when I saw that this movie was going to try and replicate that, a part of me was scared because I thought it would come off as ingenuine. That they were going to copy a style because it worked without capturing what made it special. But I'm happy to say that was far from the truth. This movie was brimming with color and style. On my rewatch, I noticed quick frames where when someone gets hit or something, the entire background changes to help make you feel what's going on. Mood and immersion were factors that they clearly thought about, and I have nothing but the utmost of respect for that. I wasn't joking when I said I could feel this movie, because the heart displayed by everyone who worked on it actively touched my soul. And my soul wasn't the only one being touched, cause Puss almost lost his. And it's all thanks to this guy. Whoa, okay, you know what? I think we can all agree that this freak of nature was single-handedly the best part of the movie. So let's give him his own section a little later. I never thought I was gonna say this, but Puss in Boots was a really relatable character. Honestly, out of all the characters in the Shrek franchise, Puss was actually my favorite. But it wasn't for any special reason though. I was a kid, and in a world of ogres, donkeys, and farquads, he was the one part that I could consider cool. A legendary swordsman that was originally meant to hunt and kill Shrek, only to join up with him and become a core member of the main group. In the comments, I want you to name a more iconic trio. When I heard that Puss had his own movie, I was really excited, and when I ended up watching it, I loved it. Again though, it was mainly for shallow reasons. Looking back, I can tell that it was kinda just alright. Reasonably serviceable, but nowhere near the quality of the first 2 Shrek movies. In this movie though, it gave older, less naive me another reason to love him again. The themes in this movie were much more mature than I was expecting. Narcissism, trust, betrayal of trust, abandonment, loneliness, being in an adoptive family, being an orphan, and everyone's favorite, the inevitability of death. All things that I was straight up not expecting when going into this movie. Puss starts out by doing his usual outlaw shtick, but this time he's prideful. In the first movie, he was reclusive, kept to himself, and didn't think of his image much with other people. But now that he's got some clout, his image is all he can think about. He thinks of himself as a hero, a legend, one that has never been struck by a blade and is so fearless he can laugh in the face of death. Sure, he was cocky before, but that was more of extreme self-confidence. Here, you can tell it's an overabundance of ego, this being a massive character flaw that Puss must overcome. Later on in the movie, we see Kitty again, and as it turns out, these two were supposed to get married. Puss never showed up though, cause he says he was scared. What is Cussy? Kitty also never showed up because she knew this would happen. Despite creating a special bond with him, she knew that she could never compete with his one true love, himself. His legend status mattered more to him than anything. Without my lives, I am nothing. It's revealed that one of the main reasons he acts like this is because of his literal 9 lives. He's been living recklessly this entire time because he knows he'll come back no matter what. It's also why he's never been afraid, so it's not like his cockiness comes from nowhere. That is, until he meets him. Here we go. Puss died again and is now on his last life. He was told to retire, but he's in denial. He's a legendary Puss in Boots, he shouldn't retire. So he doesn't take it seriously, but is visited by a certain visitor. Right away, we know things aren't right. Sure, this is a fantasy world, but he genuinely appeared out of nowhere. Puss assumes he's a bounty hunter, but is shown real quick who he's actually dealing with. Puss, the favorite fearless hero, was beaten and almost struck down. Permanently. Gotta respect DreamWorks for not only showing actual blood in the scene, but also having Puss look at it in dread. Fear is the best way to humble someone, and this scene is possibly the best example of that. And Puss does the only thing he can do. Run. Puss tries to retire, and if I'm gonna be honest, this entire section of the movie was a little too long for me. Eventually, Goldie and the 3 bears come in, and Puss learns about the wishing star, and figures that if he wanted his old life back, his old self back, he needs to get his lives back. We then meet the dog, and I gotta say, based on the trailers, I really thought I would hate him. He seemed like the comic relief sidekick, which has never actually been my favorite trope, because it usually means you don't get too much from that character. But this wasn't the case with Burrito at all. He has the saddest backstory of all time, getting thrown away and was almost murdered by his own owners by being thrown in a river. But despite all that, he stays positive. It can definitely feel like it's getting a little overly positive, but his purpose is to be the character that opposes every character's current flaw. He teaches Kitty that trust can be found in someone if you give them enough time. He teaches Goldie that she doesn't need humans to find a family. She's already got one. And he teaches Puss that having multiple lives that you lived without care will never compare to a single life that you lived to the fullest. Puss's fear of death all came from the man himself. And yeah, I mean that literally, he is death. Straight up. Guys, this guy is a whole menace. Looking at him gives me Tai Lung energy, I swear. The fact that we see Puss effortlessly take down a giant in the beginning of the movie to him running away from this man is a great contrast to show how utterly terrifying he is. The reason he's after Puss despite having 1 life left is because he resents him. The idea of having 9 chances at life is ridiculous to death, but the fact that Puss never even properly valued all those lives is an insult. So Death decided to personally hunt down Puss to both humble him and end his 9th life early. You may think you're immortal, but death comes for us all eventually. Puss takes everything he's learned from Burrito and his journey as a whole and genuinely became a changed man. He fights Death and he gets the upper hand on him. He admits that he can obviously never defeat Death, but he'll continue fighting for the 1 life he has left. This is where Death lets him go, cause he doesn't want to hunt down someone who isn't an egotistical asshole. He does leave him with a message that they will inevitably meet again, which Puss understands. So now he knows not to waste the 1 chance that he's got left. Overall, this movie was fantastic, with amazing characters and well executed themes. I know I didn't really touch on the other villain, Jack Horner, too much. While I did smile a bit when he was doing his thing, he was just kinda alright for me. I utterly loved this movie, and it left us with an ending that could put any other post-credit to shame, a possible Shrek 5. This was a great time, go watch this movie, and I'm really happy DreamWorks is back at it.